All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into this crazy XRP price surge. It's been kind of wild, right?
Yeah, it really has, especially when you see how the rest of the crypto market's been behaving.
I mean, it's raising eyebrows for sure. And we're going to be looking at an article from Crypto Potato today. It's called, Why is Ripple's XRP price up today?
Hmm.
Dropped just yesterday, January 11th,
A
2025.
very recent.
Super reason. And it's got some really juicy details. We're talking whale activity. We're talking analyst predictions. Even a key support level we need to keep our eyes on.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, it is interesting to see XRP kind of going its own way.
Mhm.
While, coins like SUI are down,
Right.
and even the big names like BNB and DOGE are barely budging.
Yeah, that's what makes this so fascinating. Like it's almost defying gravity. So the Crypto Potato article kind of walks us through all the recent price action we've seen with XRP. Back in December, it took a pretty big hit, dropped from over 2.7 the lie all the way down to 1.96 right after Ripple launched their stablecoin.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And then bam, back up to 2.50 on January 4th. And now here we are back over 2.50 again, almost a 1-month high.
It's been a roller coaster.
It really has. But honestly, what really caught my attention was this whole whale activity thing.
Yeah, I saw that too. The article said that XRP whales have scooped up over 1 billion tokens just in the last 2 days.
A billion. That's insane. That's not just like, someone buying their lunch with crypto.
Right, it's a serious money.
Yeah, big players making big moves. So is that what's driving this price surge?
Well, it's definitely a factor. What we're seeing here is what we call a supply shock.
Okay.
So basically, when you have a huge amount of a cryptocurrency, like XRP in this case, being bought up so quickly, it shrinks the supply that's available for trading on the exchanges.
Oh, I see.
So you've got this increased demand, but suddenly less supply. And that creates upward pressure on the price.
So it's like a classic case of supply and demand.
Exactly. But what's really intriguing to me is, why are these whales buying now?
Yeah, what's the motivation?
That's the million-dollar question. The timing is interesting, especially right after Ripple launched their own stablecoin. Makes you wonder if there's a connection there.
Maybe they know something we don't.
Right. Like, are they anticipating something big?
I mean, that stablecoin launch,
Mm-hmm.
it definitely seems to have shaken things up. First, the price dips, and now this.
Yeah, it's like they threw a rock in the pond and we're still watching the ripples spread.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And then you've got all these analysts chiming in, making predictions left and right. The article highlighted a few that were pretty bullish, some even talking about new all-time highs for XRP.
Yeah, you always got to take those with a grain of salt, though.
So how do you filter through all that noise? Like, how do you know which predictions to take seriously?
It's all about context. You know who's making the prediction, what's their track record like, are they backing up their analysis with solid data, are they just riding the hype wave?
Right. You got to look beyond the headlines.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, the article mentions this key support level of $2.32. What's so important about that?
Think of it like a safety net. If the price of XRP can hold above that $2.32 level, it tells us there's enough buying interest to keep it from dropping further.
Okay.
It's a good sign, especially in such a volatile market. And on the other side, you've got that $2.50 mark, acting as a resistance level.
Like a ceiling. It needs to break through.
Exactly.
So it's almost like this tug of war.
Yeah.
Between the buyers and the sellers.
Yeah.
Pushing the price back and forth.
Exactly. And speaking of visuals, the Crypto Potato article actually included this tweet. From More Crypto Online, they had a chart showing this whole pattern visually.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Sometimes those visuals can be super helpful.
Yeah.
To really understand what's going on.
Absolutely. It's one thing to hear about support and resistance levels, but seeing them on a chart, it just makes it so much more real, like you're looking at a map of the terrain instead of just having someone describe it to you.
Right, just clicks. So we've got these whales making huge moves, analysts making predictions, and these key price levels to watch. But I think the big question on everyone's mind is, what does this all mean for me?
Well, before we get into that.
I feel like we're on the case here.
Yeah.
Solving a crypto mystery. Whales are buying. Analysts are predicting. Is there something bigger going on?
Right. That's what makes it so interesting. It's not just about the numbers themselves. It's about trying to understand what's driving those numbers. Remember when we were talking about Ripple launching their stablecoin?
Oh, yeah. That got me thinking for sure.
And how that might be connected to all this.
Yeah. Could you break that down a bit more for our listener? Some people might not even know what a stablecoin is.
Sure. So imagine a cryptocurrency that's designed to hold a stable value. Usually it's pegged to a real-world currency like the US dollar.
Oh, okay.
That's a stablecoin in a nutshell.
So how does Ripple's stablecoin fit into all this? Could it actually be fueling the demand for XRP?
That's the big question, isn't it? I think we need to consider how Ripple is integrating this stablecoin into their existing products and services. If they're designed to work together, increased adoption of that stablecoin could definitely lead to a surge in demand for XRP.
Yeah, it's like they're feeding off each other.
Exactly. But remember, the market's got a mind of its own. We need to wait and see how people react to this stablecoin. Does it gain widespread acceptance? Do other platforms start integrating it? Those are the signs to watch for.
Yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes peeled. Speaking of potential roadblocks, the Crypto Potato article also mentions that XRP has been weathering these recent market corrections better than some other cryptos.
Yeah, that's true. It does seem to be holding up pretty well.
So why do you think that is?
Well, it could be a few things. XRP has a really strong and active community.
Right.
It's been around for a while, so it's had time to kind of establish itself. And it's got some unique use cases, particularly in that cross-border payment space.
So even though the article is focusing on, the immediate reasons for this price surge, it's also hinting at XRP's potential long-term resilience. Now, I know you always like to look at the bigger picture.
Always.
So what are some potential headwinds we need to think about? Even with all this positive momentum.
Well, regulatory uncertainty is a big one. Governments are still figuring out how to approach cryptocurrencies. New regulations could have a huge impact, especially for a coin like XRP that's so closely tied to a specific company.
Right.
And of course, we can't forget about the competition.
Oh, yeah.
The crypto world is constantly evolving. There are thousands of projects out there, all vying for attention and market share.
So it's not enough to just look at XRP in isolation.
Right. You got to look at the whole ecosystem.
We need to understand the broader context. The regulatory landscape, the competition.
It's like trying to predict the weather. You can look at the current conditions, but you also need to understand the larger atmospheric patterns.
Okay, I like that.
The potential for storms, even the long-term effects of climate change.
That's a great analogy.
It really highlights how complex and interconnected everything is.
So let's say someone's listening to this, and they're brand new to XRP and crypto in general. What's the one thing you want them to take away from this conversation?
I'd say don't get caught up in the hype, whether it's positive or negative. Do your own research. Understand the fundamentals. And remember, the crypto market is constantly changing. What's true today might not be true tomorrow.
Words to live by. We're not giving financial advice here. We're just exploring some of the factors driving XRP's price.
Yeah.
And highlighting some things to consider.
Exactly.
Ultimately, it's up to each individual to make their own informed decisions.
And that actually brings up another interesting point. Even with all the excitement around XRP, there are some potential risks and challenges that we haven't really talked about yet.
Oh, okay. Spill the tea. What kind of risks are we talking about here?
Well, remember that whole regulatory uncertainty thing we touched on earlier?
Yeah.
Let's unpack that a bit more. Imagine a scenario where, a major government, say the US or China, decides to really crack down on crypto. Stricter regulations or even outright bans. That could send shockwaves through the entire market. XRP wouldn't be immune.
So even if XRP has strong fundamentals and a good use case, these outside forces could still mess things up.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that investing in crypto, especially coins that are tied to a specific company like Ripple, it just comes with risks. We can't predict what governments will do, but we got to be aware of the potential impact.
Right. It's always a factor.
And then there's the competition.
Yeah, with all these other crypto projects popping up, what are some of the biggest threats to XRP? Especially in that cross-border payment space.
Well, the crypto world is all about innovation, right?
Right.
What if a new project comes along with a faster, cheaper, more secure way to do cross-border payments? Or what if a major bank launches its own stablecoin that gains massive adoption? These are all things that could eat away at XRP's market share.
It's like a constant race to stay ahead.
Exactly. You got to stay agile and adaptable in this space.
So how can our listeners stay ahead of the curve? How do you navigate this whole crazy world?
I always tell people, approach crypto with a healthy dose of skepticism and a commitment to learning. Don't just buy into the hype or believe everything you read online.
Right, do your own research.
Exactly. Dig deeper, question assumptions. Look for different perspectives.
So basically, don't just jump on the bandwagon.
Right. Think for yourself.
It's all about informed decision-making.
Exactly. And remember, this deep dive is just a starting point. We've covered a lot of ground. From whale activity and analyst predictions to Ripple stablecoin and the potential for regulation and competition. But there's always more to learn. The best thing you can do is stay curious and keep exploring.
Couldn't agree more. Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into the XRP price surge. Hopefully you've learned a thing or two, and maybe even come away with some new questions to ponder.
It's been a pleasure chatting with you. Until next time, stay curious.
And as always, happy investing.